All right, number 23. The box plots show the lengths of the songs on 2 digital music players in minutes. So we got music player X, music player Y, and this is the length of the songs in minutes. Which statement is best supported by the information in the box plots? All right, so let's go through each one and see which one is correct. The interquartile range of the data from music player X is equal to the interquartile range of the data from music player Y. So remember, the interquartile range is this box right here. So this is your IQR, and this box as well. And you can tell just by looking at them that they are not the same. So they are not equal. Now, if it was close, you would need to actually figure out how big the box is, but in this case, they're not even close, so you wouldn't have to worry about it. All right, B, the interquartile range of the data from music player X is greater than the interquartile range. So X is bigger. As you can see, 6.5 minus 4.5. So the IQR is going to be equal to 2, whereas on this one, it's 5 minus 4, so the IQR is 1. So it is greater. Music player X, which is 2, is greater, so that one's correct. Let's just make sure that we didn't make any mistakes. The median length of the songs in music player X is equal to the median length of the songs in music player Y. Remember, the median is the middle line here. So this is your median, and this is your median. So as you can see, they are not the same. And then finally, the median length of the songs is less than the median length. So median X is not less than, it's actually greater than, because the median is 5, whereas the median on music player Y is 4.5. So our answer is B. Number 24. The list shows the number of licenses issued every year to lobster boats in Massachusetts for a 5-year period. What is the range of this data? All right, so here, remember range. Think of a mountain range. We've got a big mountain, and sometimes we've got little tiny mountains. We're going to take the biggest mountain, and we're going to subtract the smallest mountain. So in this case, we're going to look for the biggest number. So we have 554. That's our biggest number. And then our smallest number, which is 529. We're going to subtract those to get our range. So 554 minus 529. And we get 25. 25. All right, number 25. The students in Mrs. Kowalski's class had to write a book report. The line plot below shows the page length of each student's book report. Which of the following statements about the students in Mrs. Kowalski's English class is true? A, 7 students wrote a book report that was at least 4 pages long. At least 4 pages long. So remember, at least means it can be 4, 5, or 6. So at least 4. So in this case, that would be these. And that would be 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7. That is correct. Let's double check, make sure all the other ones are wrong. 13 students wrote a book report that was at least 3 pages long. So we take that one, those 7, and then add the rest of those. So in this case, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15, so that one's wrong. Most of the students wrote a book report that was at least 4 pages long. At least 4 pages long is 7, like we said. 7 is not most of the students. 7 is not most of the students. Most means it's greater than half. And then finally, we have, there are 18 students in Mrs. Kowalski's English class. We just count them all up. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So not 18, it should be 20. So there you have it. 25, the answer is A. 7 students wrote a book report that was at least 4 pages long. So make sure you understand what at least means. All right, Chrissy sold 12 of the same model televisions to a motel. Each model cost the same amount.
if the total cost was $4,557.60, what was the price in dollars of each television? So here we have to find the unit rate. So we're going to have to divide these. So it's going to be dollars divided by TVs. So dollars per TV. So unit rate, remember you're dividing them. So 4,557.60 divided by 12. And we just divide it out. 12 times 6 is 72. 12 times 7 is 84. And she bring it down. 12 times 10 is 120, so we know it's not 10. Can't be 10 anyway, so it's going to be 9. That's 108. So we get 9 remaining, bring down to 6. 12 times 8 is 96. And then we have nothing left over to bring down. So the last spot will be 0. So $379.80 will be our cost for each TV. All right, number 27. Which ordered pair is located in quadrant 4? Quadrant 4, so remember, think of it like a letter C. So this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's got to be in this quadrant right here. So let's go ahead and mark them all just to make sure we don't make any mistakes. So 2.5 and 4.5. So remember, you run, then jump. So XY is the way it goes. Remember, you're going that way or this way, up and down for the Y. So 2.5, we're going to go to the right, 2.5, and then we're going to go up 4.5. So that would be right here. That's A. B is at 0, negative 2 3/4. 2 3/4. So that's B. C, negative 1.65, negative 1.55. So about right here. So that's C. And then D, 2.5, negative 1.5. 2.5, negative 1.5. So that's D. Now, if you rush through that, you might have put B, but B is actually not in any quadrant. It's just on the y-axis. So the answer is D. B is not in a quadrant. It's on the axis. That is not considered in a quadrant. So the answer is D. All right. So now we're just figuring out which one's a whole, integer, and rational. Remember, whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, and so on. Integers are negative whole numbers. And rational is everything for this grade. Everything else for now. Now, when you get older, you will have irrational numbers, but right now you don't need to worry about that. For now, just know that everything else is rational. So everything's rational. So everything's going to have a check mark in rational. Everything that you guys are doing is rational. Integer is negative whole number, so this is an integer, but it's not whole. Negative 12 is not whole because it's not positive, or 0, like this one. 0 is a whole number and an integer. Remember, if it's a whole number, it's also an integer and rational. So if you remember your chart here, if I were to draw, so everything's rational. So that's rational. Then we have whole integer. Let me draw a better chart. It's not very good. I'm not known as an artist. All right. So I'm just going to do the whole box as rational. So we have some space.
and then we have integer, and then we have whole. So remember, if it goes in the whole, it's everything else, and so on. So 1.5 is not whole or integer, it's just rational. 4/5 is just rational. -12 is an integer and rational, and 0 is whole, integer, and rational. All right, number 29. 4 points are labeled on the number line. Which point best represents 1/3? So in this case, remember, you have to be very careful because this is actually not one whole. This is half of a whole. So you got to be very careful. This would be 1/2. So we're going to need to we need to kind of envision where 1/4 would be. So in this case, actually we'll just use decimals. Let's see how many spots there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which means that each one of these is 0.05. So if I were to label it with point as decimals, this would be 0.45, 0.4, 0.35, 0.3, 0.25, 0.2, 0.15, 0.1, 0.05. And hopefully, you know this fraction is 0.33 repeating. So that means you can kind of use your dots here to figure out where it will go. So 0.33 should be this one right here, so N. 0.33. So the answer would be N. Be very careful that you pay attention to this 0.5 here so you don't get confused on that. And then just use what you learned in elementary about how to make number lines. And then you got point M. Point M. So you take out how many spaces are and then divide it. And you got your decimal points. All right, let's go to number 30. Viksha is 5 feet 4 inches tall. What is her height in inches? So here we have a two-step conversion. So we have our given. So we got feet, inches. We want to know how many feet. We want to know how many inches tall she is. They give us 5 feet. We want to figure out. Our given is 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So 1 foot equals 12 inches, and you can see that on your conversion chart if you need to. So 1 foot is 12 inches. They give us 5 feet. Just don't forget about this 4 inches. We're going to add that at the end. So 5 feet. So we're going to multiply times 5 or multiply times 12. So if we're going this way, we're going to multiply times 5, which is 60. If we go down, that'll be times 12, and that'll give us 60. So it's 60, but she's more, if she was 5 feet tall, it'd be 60 inches. She's 5 feet 4 inches tall, so we're going to need to add those 4 inches to the 60. So 60 plus 4, which gives us 64 inches. So 64 inches. 64 inches. Which does not have a value of 1 1/3. 1 1/3. So as an improper fraction, that would be what, 4/3? But it looks like they're all fractions, so we're good. This one right here, if we simplify 3/9, 3/9 is 1/3. So this one's correct. They have the same value. Remember, it's value. So they're the same size. And it's asking for which does not. So this one does have the same value. This one right here, if you have a negative times a negative equals a positive. So this one's correct. This one's 1 1/3. Negative times negative equals positive. This one right here is taking the opposite of the absolute value. So the absolute value, negative 1 1/3. Remember, absolute value is the distance from 0. That equals 1 1/3. but we're taking the opposite. So because we're taking the opposite, our answer is going to be C. Because we're taking the opposite here. That's the important part. So we have the absolute value of negative 1 1/3. The absolute value of negative 1 1/3 is 1 1/3. But we want to take the opposite of that, the negative. So our final answer is going to be negative 1 1/3. Here, the answer is 1 1/3, so that is not correct. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, make sure you reach out to a teacher to get some assistance on that. All right, number 32. The Venn diagram shows relations among different sets of numbers. Which number would be located in the shaded part of the diagram? So here, it needs to be an integer, but not a whole number. If it's in the shaded part, it cannot be a whole number. So it cannot, so if it's in the shaded part, that would mean it's not positive. If it was a positive whole number, it'd be in the whole number situation. So this is positive whole numbers and 0, whereas this one is negative whole numbers. So we're looking for a negative whole number, and our answer would be B. This is a rational number. This one right here is rational, and this one right here is whole, which is also an integer. Whole, integer, and rational. So 10 would go here. Oops. So 10 would go here. Negative 8, 2/3, and negative 1.7. All right, number 33. A scientist used 786 milliliters of a liquid for an experiment. How many liters of the liquid did the scientist use for this experiment? So you use your conversion chart. You'll use your conversion chart to figure this out. And they give us milliliters and liters. So we're going to use our conversion chart to figure this out. Milliliters and liters. There are 1,000 milliliters and 1 liter. 1,000 milliliters and 1 liter. They give us 786 milliliters. We're trying to figure out how many liters that is. So in this case, we are going this way. We're trying to go to the question mark. I would not go across. Going across might be too difficult. So to get from 1,000 to 1, we're going to be dividing by 1,000. Now, if you're good with your number sense, you'll know that that would be moving your decimal 3 spots. So if you're good with your number sense, you'll know that 786, you'll move it 3 times to the left, and that would be your answer. If you're not, and you don't know that, you would need to divide it by 1,000. So 786 divided by 1,000. So in this case, you'll get 7. Obviously, it's good to be good with the number sense so it doesn't take you forever. And there you have it, 0.786. 0.786. 0.786. So when you're dividing by anything with a 0, you can move the decimal point. So 10, if you divide by 10, you would move it to the left 1. If you divide by 100, to the left 2. And 1,000 to the left 3. Or you can just divide it. All right, 2 more. Let's finish this off. The list shows the number of viewers of an online music video each day for 5 consecutive days. By what factor did the number of viewers change each day from the first day to the 5th day? So it's got a factor. So it's going to be times 7. So each one of these is going to be times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. 35 times 7 is 245. Make sure you check a couple of them just to make sure. 245 times 7 And double check it if you're not positive, but in this case, it is going to be 7. So the answer is 7 there. And then finally, Cruz kept track of the number of points he scored in each game during the basketball season. How many games did Cruz score 10 points or more? So 10 points or more. 10 points or more. So in this case, it's going to be all of these right here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 games. And there we have it. If you need any help, make sure you reach out to your teacher. Make sure you study hard.